right here. Up and away, baby. Up and away. Do we have a contract change? Negative. You know, it's the first month of the contract. That gap up is for real. That gap up is for real. 68.84 top wick here so far. We'll see how they're going to roll this baby over. If they're going to roll it over or not, we'll see. I'm going to close out some of my stuff here I got going on. Right now we have liquidity at 68.90 that they just filled. If you look over at NASDAQ, they have everything down to 25,725, which would be a great target in the event they start to sell a little bit here and a little too much too fast. But of course, I'm just going to play the 3 C's. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. It's the first weekend that actually feels like fall, even though I feel like we went from summertime to fall. I finally canned my last batch of tomatoes this past weekend and put the garden to bed. So we're almost in November and I'm still canning tomatoes. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. All right, couple of topics here on NASDAQ and the S&P. Nothing crazy so far. We have a jet-fueled week this week. An absolutely monster week in terms of price action movement. We have earnings of all of the mega caps except for Nvidia and Tesla. And we have FOMC, not to mention a plethora of other jobs data this week. Nice little top wick rolling back over here. What's up, YouTube? How's it going? Let me make this full screen. A tremendous amount of calls selling out of the gate. So they've already sold about 400 million worth of calls so far, which I guess you could say to be expected with this kind of movement. They're going to monetize these premiums. If you saw that JP Morgan finished their $3 billion complex, if you're wondering where all your zero DTE premiums have been going the past few years, they are building a $3 billion building for JP Morgan. Glad I know my money went to good use. Heck yeah. So far, a very tight open on the ES. Spot Gamma says, regardless of bearishness or bullishness, with the vol suppression that we've been seeing, we're going to head back into the zombified market. So that's unfortunate because regardless of up or down the past few weeks, I was drastically looking forward to a shakeout of price action, which we get. I guess we got about a good week of aggressive movement, although we never got any extension, which is unfortunate. And that's the whole fun for the downside anyway, right? It's not necessarily that we're dropping, it's that we finally get exaggerated movement, which usually turns into some nice profits. So we're going to have to wait our turn again as we just kind of drift even higher. I'm sure JP Morgan needs a new complex like that. Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about it. They made that last week. Yeah. All right, so you see this obvious little flag pattern up here as we just drift even higher. A couple of top wicks on the 15-minute for ES. NASDAQ is doing the same. If you look across the market here, the yields are green and the bonds are red here as all this kind of undoes a little bit of the pressure as we kind of build in not only into what we happened last week, but into what's coming along this week with FOMC. KRE is responding nicely. They were on watch last week, back to 61. Chinese markets are bright green. Japanese markets are bright green. Japan markets past 50,000 for the first time in history. There you go. 50,000. Coming soon to a NASDAQ near you. And VIX is down another 3.5% to 1580. Another top wick here at 25.8. Looking for set 25.725 on NASDAQ. I took a few GameStop puts. I don't think Master Chief Console wore photo op. I don't know what that is. Still dropping here. Nice little top wick so far, rolling back over. Too much, too fast, playing out nicely. Nicely so far. What's up, Lanner? Good morning, buddy. How you doing? How you doing? Tremendous amount of call selling here. That should not come as a surprise to you, given the overnight market. Right here. Top wick here. Very slow. I believe today is the least volatile day of the week in terms of catalysts. So it's really just at the leisure of the market makers. We have a much liquidity down to 700. I wouldn't be surprised to see 700 fill. That would put us right at the gap low, not the open, but right at this gap up low session. We have about 700, so that would be a likely point for them to fill liquidity down, and that's where I'm going to target in the event they continue this little shenanigan lower. Today's session, we have new home sales data at the top of the hour. That is a 3-star event. We have bond auctions, Fed GDP. Tomorrow we have a plethora of data. 3-star events, CB consumer confidence, money supply, M2, bond auction, both the 1-year and 7-year. And then, of course, Wednesday is the big dog, FOMC. The White House waits into console wars, releases AI image of Donald Trump as Master Chief. Interesting. Gold seems to be making another bounce. So gold is an interesting setup here, obviously. They are down another 2%. And as I told other people yesterday on Sunday's brief, is that I do not recommend a long bias on gold until you get a higher high. Because as extended as gold is, there's going to be a lot of people obviously trying to chase the long side of things, which obviously has been working out very well the past few months. But we are getting, when you get the biggest red candle you've seen in since 2013, what, decade plus, you have to take note with that. That is a change of character here. And just like everything else, if you want to play the euphoria long, you've got to have to learn to play the euphoria red too when it does finally show up. Gold, it showed up. It showed up on the 21st for the biggest red candle in 12 years. And now you have to deal with those consequences. So do not look to play the long side, or at least chase the long side on longer terms. On scalping, do whatever you got to do. Don't chase the long side on a macro scale unless you get a higher high indication to see if we're actually going to go back to 4,400. Until then, we are now testing another move lower. If it breaks 40.20, then I would look for 39.56. Never heard of Euphoria Red. April. March into April was Euphoria Red, where it just goes and goes and goes. I'm prepping March swing short in my personal account, just waiting for a daily close under 40.23. Nice. It's supposed to rain here for the next 24 hours. There's not an hour of below 50% chance until 5 a.m. I just want to cut my grass once more. I love it. I'm actually welcoming the rain. I spread a bunch of ryegrass because I haven't. We finished the build back in July, and I haven't been able to put grass seed because it's been summertime. Grass seed is very difficult to grow, and so I've just dealt with the barren dirt wasteland here. Finally, with the cooler temperatures, I spread some ryegrass. And the rain is welcomed, and it's looking beautiful, green and lush. It's nice to have green grass for once. And then once the early spring comes along, I'll overseed with some fescue. And clover, by the way. Clover is great for bees. What's up, YouTube? How's everybody doing? 3,700 and 5,000 on gold? That would be a massive move. NASDAQ is hanging out 838. Very mundane open so far. They are back to buying calls. Oh man, I got the VIX open. VIX is 1578. They popped a little bit back up and then top wicking. We do have data at the top of the hour. 5 minutes away from my trading. I thought I was exempt after moving out of Texas from wash car dirt storm. Nice. Clover is also important regarding nitrogen fertilizer. Nice. All right. Calls and puts are nearly neck and neck. Nothing crazy here. I don't see a lot of outlier data in terms of options, but I do see another high volume 3C bottom wick at 25,796. Oil was, we hashed out another deal with oil as well. They responded nicely from 60.70 up to 61.82. As the national average for oil fell, or gas fell below $3 for the first time in a while. But they put on a nice rally from 56 after a triple bottom, all supported with high volume, and they've broken out. So let's see what happens. Gold, they did put on a high volume flow here at 40.32 as expected with this little prior bounce, but I don't know, man. It's not encouraging to see them dip below. We will see. Nasdaq is still chilling. Inside open so far. Inside open. One candle and you go bearish on gold. What do you mean? $25,816. You said that big red candle flipped it. Well, when you get a decade red candle, you can't immediately look to buy the dip until the signs are there. You know, I'm a 3C player. If I see volume, I play it. You know, I'm not going to start just buying every single candle simply because it's been green. That's how you get destroyed. So if I see a high volume bottom come in, I'll play the long back up, period. Kind of like I was long the entire Q2 and Q3. I think gold is hands off for now. Yeah, 100%. 100%. 10 a.m. news. That's right. That's right. $25,820. Nasdaq still sitting lower. We have a slight little pump on the VIX, and then move down to 25.7. That would be a likely point. "3C player needs to be on a t-shirt." Heck yeah, it does. Would I hold this chart? Let's not worry about what is the chart. 70 cents up to 270. You're getting continued high value dumps. So which means every attempt higher is hit with high volume selling. So it's not the great breakout given that chart. You don't want to see high volume dumps every attempt at higher prices, but I'd have to see the history of the chart. Do I still use market awareness? Absolutely, every day. Every day. In fact, it's one of the best indicators, simply because if you can be market aware of conditions, you might be able to catch a move before it happens, before it sets up. Gold. Still going lower here, 40.33. Looking for 40.19 or so. High volume is coming in. That's on the 15-minute. The 1 minute has an extremely high volume spike on the 1. Watch the higher highs, of course. If they do drop it from here, there's not that far to go to hit last week's support of 40.25. But right now, it's a tremendous amount of volume coming in. And the higher high in the 1 minute would be 40.38. On the 5 minute would be higher than that, 40.47. So you need to make a decision if you want to play the 1 minute or the 5. But that is a tremendous amount of volume. What is market awareness? What is indeed? So it's just being situationally aware. If you're going to trade something like NASDAQ or ES, you've got to be able to just track the entire market to kind of figure out what's going on, especially the market leaders. If you're watching NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, if you see something, a big move, an outlier move beginning to show itself, then be aware of that when you're trading the ES and NASDAQ. Or if things are diverged, or things are different, or if, being market aware of tweets and the proper news headlines, just everything in one basket. Because unfortunately, the shorter the time frame you trade, the more aware you have to be of more variables. If you're a swing trader that plays 6-month or yearly dated options or just longer position commons, then you don't really need to be aware of news and crap like that. Just buy the fundamentals and that's it. If you're trading short time frame like scalping, then you 100% need to be aware of the whole. It's more variables, tweets, news headlines, data postings at 10 o'clock, etc. So that's up to you. Professional basket weaver, yeah. Which is one of the reasons why short-term trading is that much harder than everything else. There's too many variables. There's a lot of variables. We're still chilling here. Very dull open, unfortunately. Very dull open. Let's take a look at how that gold position manifests. Democracy manifest. The location of gold right now is super sketchy. We could drop fast. Oh, don't get bearish on gold. You got to be super euphorically bullish on gold. I don't know what you're talking about. It's good to be aware. It's bad to try to make moves based on your interpretation. I make that mistake a few times. Turns out I'm a degree holding economist. Well, yeah. I mean, being market aware tied in with our analysis with the 3Cs or any other technical analysis is the way to go. You have to do your best to remove your bias or remove your personal beliefs on what should happen based on what is happening, which is very difficult to do, of course. Any thoughts on the recent cycle being reaccumulated rather distribution given the recovery and gap up? It's playing out. So it appears that the large red candle on October 10th was simply just accumulating more shares to go even higher. Because that was the only red candle that we got that was not bottom wick to some degree. It was an aggressively bearish candle and then instantly bottom wicked, and after that it was just back and forth to accumulate more shares, and here we are. You know, NASDAQ is another 100,000 points higher and the S&P is another 300 points higher. So, yeah, it was fun being a bear for a week. Back to the regularly scheduled programming. I really struggle with that. What should happen, in my opinion, is it going down usually to tilt me. Just ego coming out. Nope, you nailed it on the head. That's ego right there. No place in trading for ego and pride and everything else. Which, I mean, obviously, there's no place anywhere in your life for ego and pride. How did you manage your put leap? I don't have any leaps. I just got a monthly put, and I mean, it's getting clapped, so there's nothing I can really do except manage as I can. So it just things happen so quickly. I mean, 3 days ago, it was break even. I saw it tick over into profitability for a brief second, and then, you know, here we are 3 days later. What am I going to do? So I was out thrifting Thursday for a resale shop, and I found a pair of ski pants for $4. Check some comps, and they sell anywhere between $150 and $200. And I found another pair of hiking mountain. The running tags. Look at you. You're killing it, McGabagooley. Right here. 25,836. ES and NASDAQ are dead flat. We have data in 10 minutes. This is what I hate. This is why I'm desperate for a shakeout. Desperate's the wrong word. This is why I was looking forward to a shakeout. Because the buy the dip has been working great. I had a fantastic Q3. It's the best trading time of the entire year in terms of execution. Although I made more money in Q1, in terms of stress management and execution, Q3 was unbeatable. But with this relentless bullishness that keeps on going extended, we go back into the zombified market where price action is very slow. You get a very narrow window of opportunity in the first hour and a half or so, and then it goes back into being a zombie. I was looking forward to a couple of 100-point ranges for a while, but as the market didn't see fit to do it. Let's see here. What did gold ended up doing? Gold's still hanging out here, high volume bottom wicks. We don't have a 3C yet. The 5-minute is about to print a 3C, so just be patient. It's awesome, Gabaguli. Yeah. My wife is starting a resale business. She's been a thrifter her whole life, and finally convinced her to monetize it. Nice. Me and the missus are challenging with the kid, or we're having a challenge with the kids because they're becoming of age. I've got a 15-year-old. I've got 2 kids that are starting to become more aware of money and business and making money and stuff. We have a goal: is how fast can we raise another $2,000 of income? Just to show them that there's money out there. There's gold in them there hills. There's gold in them there hills, and I'm going to show them how to go get it. So I'll let you know when we hit it. The 3 C's. What's up, Casey? Yeah, the 3 C's are my acronym for the 3 criteria. What's up, 6? How you doing? 3 criteria stands for my system. The first criteria of which is volume inflow. The second criteria is wicks. Third criteria is price action or follow through higher highs. Mow yards and wash cars. That's one of them. I'm always jealous of those yard sale guys that really know what they're looking at. It seems like a great skill with the boomer starting to fade out. Anything. I'm telling you, man. You are approaching the laziest, most distracted generation in history. Do anything. Anything. And you can go get yourself an extra 1,000 or 2. It really is easy. Just requires, or I should say simple. It's not easy, it's simple. You just got to do it. You just got to do it. Bottom wick, hanging out at 25,830. Pressure washing, that's what my brother-in-law does, man. By the way, he just landed a contract with McDonald's. McDonald's. The guy was a car dude. He still sells cars. He's actually in the process of getting away from it. The dude just started a pressure washing business. And then in the wintertime, he started a Christmas light business. He just landed a double contract for McDonald's doing not only Christmas lights, but they're going to give him his business for pressure washing in the springtime. And now the dude is making more money doing that than he is selling cars. Is pressure washing sexy? No. Oh, I'm about to clap this peacock. Anyway, hanging out here 25,838. No movement on NASDAQ. Terrible movement so far. Gold is trying to print a 3C, but they can't do it yet. If they do print one, we'll play back up to 40.62. But until then, they're just chilling. ES has a technical 3C, but man, that price tag is terrible. I don't even want to touch it. Nice, McGabaguli. Nice. Youngins need to show some adversity. They do. I show up to work with a smile on my face, no complaints, and the old farmer dudes rip their wallets open. Yeah, buddy. Depends on who's doing the pressure washing. I love it. I love it. What's up, Street Salsa? This is terrible. All right, we have 5 minutes until data. Maybe we get something going. $340 million of puts sold, 195 million calls sold. This is a 0 DTE call seller's day. Not a single trade so far. Not a single trade. I'm in the process of rebuilding my TPT accounts. I smoked them all after being too aggressive with my withdrawals, so I'm refunding them. My top stepper's still just fine. It's funny that people can make money doing pressure washing things, but instead they buy a video game by doing pressure washing. That's super cringe, but you're accurate. All right, 25,838, still just chilling. Some disgusting price action. If you look on the 15, still bottom wicking. RTY is still bottom wicking and dead flat now, pretty much the entire evening. Gold is not bouncing at all, and if they take out this low, they're going to have to seek out last week's liquidity for a bounce of 40.20. Three C's are your best friend. Rooster sleeps under his ladies because he's cold. Heh. A little bit of bounce. NASDAQ. Data in 3 minutes. Argentina stock market rises 20% at their opening bell. Wow. Reminder that the deal that was nailed out this weekend is just framework. No deal has actually been made. Both parties only agreed to try to come to a deal. This shows the irrational exuberance of market behavior. Interesting. I played Kingdom Dome. Deliverance. I don't even know what that is. What data? I believe it's home sales data, which I'm interested to see. Yeah, new home sales, 3-star event. Nothing you need to worry about. Argentina's pumping up. Yeah, buddy. Still looking for my first trade today. It may come here in a few minutes, but I don't like playing back and forth inside action, especially when I'm seeing both calls and puts being sold. So in terms of options data, that's how the tool is helping me today, is I'm showing both sides of the tape being sold. We're not getting any follow through here, the bottom wicking and top wicking, everything. Gold, I'd love to see a touch of last week's lows to get me into a 3C long position. Gold's been treating me really well the past couple of weeks. I wonder if gap stats are going to play out. 90% of all gaps close within 3 days. 76% of all double gaps have the second gap close the same day. We'll see. The 5-minute on top wick, NASDAQ bottom wick. Yeah. What's the new home sales indicate? New home sales data is a number of homes under contract. So it's a litmus test of the real estate market. I'll give you the technical definition. It measures the annualized number of single new family homes that were sold during the previous month. Report tends to have more impact when it's released ahead of existing home sales. Higher expected readings should be taken as bullish for the dollar. Last week, it popped the forecast by 150. So we had 150,000 more home sales than forecasted last month. So we'll see how it plays out this week. Yeah, and then last week we saw that I forget how much it was, like 30 to 40% of single-family residents in the United States are being sold to investors or being purchased by investors now, still. If you're wondering why you're spending $350 a square foot. $30 seconds. 30 seconds. Pending home sale numbers are coming out Wednesday, not today. According to this, it's coming out here in 1 minute, unless they've delayed it. Oh, if you're talking about existing home sales, that's going to be on Wednesday, I believe. But today, right now, this is pending. Holy crap! Why did this thing just refresh? Yeah, new home sales is today. We have liquidity up to 875 and then majority down to 700 here, but we have obviously a very tight market. I'm not touching anything until I see a very clear 3C. I'm keeping an eye on gold here. Oil is doing a little 3C action here, top wick. And right here on 853. Do I have a track record? No, I've never been arrested. Yeah. Full port Beyond Meat. Yeah. 25,850 right here. There we go. 700 million in puts sold, 72 million of calls sold. Right here. Disgusting price action. $856 still going. Coming up to 875. You should be for this. Last time Beyond Meat ran, the market crashed. Well, I'm not for a market crash. I had like I said, I had a fantastic Q3. So I greatly enjoy the easy mode by the dip market. Is fantastic. So it's just we have to recalibrate. We go from a very aggressive price action with 40, 50 point daily ranges to now what we're dealing with is a 8-point range. That's the only downside, is that you have to lower your thoughts for the amount of range the price action is going to give you. So put the tinfoil hat on this morning. ES is attacking their pre-market highs right up here at 68.90. NASDAQ has already taken them out, and it's flying. All right, gold is dropping into last week's levels with volume spike right here. So this is the last line of defense before we're going to attack 39.55 here. So with volume, of course, let's see what we can get done here. NASDAQ is still going. Oh, man. We have 1.5 billion in puts sold, 561 million calls sold. Massive volume coming in on gold, as well as NASDAQ is starting to get a little uptick in volume right here, but not tremendously high, just a little bit at 874. What's called put wall? Let's take a look. There's a tremendous amount at 68.80 on SPX, which is 23 points higher. That is the main strike for 0 DTEs is 68.80. We're just kind of flowing higher here ever so slightly. Didn't really get a 3C bounce there at the 951. It's just, back and forth and then grind higher. It's not great price action. All right, Kennedy, come on back, baby. Beautiful high volume here. Again, you need the 3C. We have a very minor bottom wick with volume support. This is the last line of defense for NASDAQ, or for gold, I'm sorry, before we shift into the next phase of roughly 39.86 to 55. You mean I've been showing y'all stuff on my stream for 35 minutes and y'all haven't watched it? It's been on Bookmap. take a look here. Volume analysis. There you go. Glad not to be taking a trade. It feels like a flat day. All right, still coming along here. Right here. Can I show my settings on spot gamma? Yeah, I can do that. Gold, beautiful bounce. Beautiful bounce. Let's see what they could do. Can it hold? VIX is hanging out 1576, so they gapped up the VIX right at the open. Gap up's the wrong word. They moved up the VIX into almost 16, and then they're just kind of chilling right now. So not a lot of movement there on longer positions. So here's what I use for my 0 DTE options. Gold looks weak. Big old top wick back over, so still can't close the 3C. So it's going to have to shift if they can't bounce it. I have a hard time thinking that gold or any other precious metals is a good place for retail to be playing. You're playing against central banks and the largest institutions in the world. They are very massive. They're extraordinarily massive in terms of notional. I think a lot of people just jumped on them the past few months because of the pure euphoric price action. I mean, it was pretty easy to make some money just buying it. But now that the sell side is beginning to hit, now there's a little bit more, I guess, analytics to come into it. And then this is where they're going to start smoking people. $1.3 billion put sold, 700 million calls purchased. So it's a purely positive delta market right now. Physical or nothing. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Plus, you know, some right now they were showing everywhere you can go buy physical gold. There were lines wrapped around the building of people paying 8% premium to buy the physical gold. Which, of course, we know how that goes. That never works out well for anybody. Big red candles, 4014. Still straight down. No 3Cs on gold. Oil is possible move lower after 61.65. King of all kings, that's right. How do you trade this garbage? I don't. I'm just a spectator right now. I'm just a spectator. New home sales data was not reported. They didn't report it. So they took it off the books right when it posted. So that leaves only bonds data for the rest of the day. That's it. New home sales, they pushed it till tomorrow. So they took it off the schedule and they moved it till tomorrow to 10 o'clock, which I'm sure won't be posted again. Gold still trying to bounce, but no higher high yet. You can see the obvious here, which is a nice little downward channel. So this is not something you want to buy unless you got the right side of the V. Right now, you're still forming the left side of the V. So no touchy unless you want to short it until you get a higher high on gold. Nice little top wick here on NASDAQ. By the way, high volume here. Minor top wick. That's certainly a top wick. And then lower low, which is here, which we're starting to get. And we're getting a little bit of move lower. So there's your first decent setup there on NASDAQ. What would be the best funded prop account size to start with? I was eyeing 10Ks to get warm. I don't know. I don't know what company you're using to get 10K. That seems a little small. My favorite is usually the mid, about 75Ks, depending on the company. So it's really all the same stuff. It's just managing your position sizing. Realize that you're not actually getting $100,000. You're getting, what is it, $2,500 a drawdown, $3,000 a drawdown. Nice Magabagouli. Very nice. Do whatever you're going to do. It really doesn't matter. It's just managing the drawdown. You have to maintain position sizing. And when you're dealing with a 2K drawdown or less, playing with anything close to one single mini is disaster. It's suicide. So you just got to turn the position sizing down. If you're playing one mini, especially on gold or NASDAQ, one wrong candle and you're blown. So just turn the position sizing down. Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Dallas Fed data, 10:30. There you go. Yep. They posted, it's a one-star event. Won't really do much, but yeah, it's 10:30. Extremely positive deltas on zeros. Oh, man. We're back to this stuff. Back to this stuff. Anybody wants to go skiing? I'm going to Vail 3rd week in December. Come join, have some fun. Go skiing. Gold's trying to bounce. So you can already see the obvious higher high here, right? So just look for the obvious levels. 40.22 needs to be captured. We do have some high volume spikes as we're dropping lower, but you've got to claim a higher high. Haven't been able to do so yet. Got the garden closed out, close the pool. Might go cut the grass one more time. There you go. ES is in a 2 or 3 point range up here, which is obviously terrible. It's snowing in Wyoming. Nice. Where are you checking these news events? I use investing.com. Here, I'll show you the link. It's free. You can pay for it, but I just use the free version. I have 2 full days to trade, and this is the price action we get. Well, if you want complete vol crush price action that blasts higher, this is what you have to deal with. This is the bad part about the VIX going down and back into the 14s, is that this is what we deal with. Got to take the good with the bad. For the prop firm profits, do you put down your LLC for the W9, or do you do it under your name? The prop firm itself is under my personal name, but all of my business ventures are under LLC. So I just run it as an LLC. But this is opportunity as well. If this vol crush regime is returning zeros, won't make any money, but calls a week out or two will. Call debit spreads are ideal for this environment, so you're only buying part of the distributions you want. Nice. You're right. You're right. This could be like this until FOMC. You see, gold can't take out a higher high yet. In my opinion, no longs until you get a higher high. I would ride the short train here until something comes along. Higher high, do you count wicks? Yep. So remember is that the wicks are simply a visual representation of candles on a time frame. So when it comes down to just basic price action, I don't really care about the candle itself, the third C. I care about, I need a higher price. The first two C's take care of the candles. You got the wicks, you got the visual nature of the volume, yeah. But I need to see a higher high of a price action. So yeah, wicks and everything, whatever I can get. Now, a close will tell me a lot too. So getting over a prior close will be big because that tells me that that time frame, the buyers or sellers, whichever one stops, and then you can finally close it. But if you want the full confirmation, it's the higher high. Now again, the third C is more of experience-driven art form, whereas the first two are very technical. So it really depends on what's going on here. Like right now, we are getting pummeled back down. If they were to come along here and just absolutely hammer the crap out of this with incredibly high volume, maybe I don't want to wait for a higher high because maybe this is just more of a gotcha candle. Either way, that's just more, obviously this is incredibly bearish. So with the volume coming in here, if they put on a massive bottom wick hammer candle, they sweep this all the way back up, you may not want to wait until 40.22. Maybe you want to go ahead and get in when it comes in down here at 40.12. Look at that, big old candles. I wait until after FOMC to buy speculative calls out in time. The wave comes off. $25,844 NASDAQ. We do have a 3C on NASDAQ here. 5-minute high volume. In fact, the second highest volume candle of the day. Top wicks, lower low would have been right here at 862. And now they are extending lower. NASDAQ or gold is absolutely getting crushed. Failed to take out the higher high, so they shift down. And now we are in free fall land. Next step, 39.88. They're down another 3%. This gap up really messed up my 15-minute chart. Well, it's a big gap. Look, more volume coming in into the 4,000 area, defending 4,000 level. They are buying back some of the puts. So they went from 1.4 billion in puts sold to 400 million. So they bought back $1 billion of the puts. And they're still selling some calls here. We have more selling here on NASDAQ that's starting to just pick up. That's the 50% retracement right there after that, 25,797, if not a wee bit lower. Gold is still pushing lower. I would not recommend a long on gold until you see a very obvious buy signal. That's right, yes, so coming on down to 4,000. NASDAQ 830. Nice. You already got the bounce off 4,000. That was your chance. I wouldn't touch it now. Yeah, I mean, the way I've been treating gold is I haven't been scalping gold when I have played it like I do NASDAQ or the S&P. I wait for a more of a decent hold position. So until I get that 3C, I'm not touching it. I need that higher high, and then you could ride it, you could ride it a good 10, 20 points on gold, which if you know the notional of gold is a phenomenal amount of money, even on one contract. 10 or 20 points on gold, that's it. You could fill a whole day's profits just on that one trade. VIX is starting to climb. New high of the day for the VIX, 1591. Obviously, we have a decent 3C short opportunity here. It's slow, but it's forming. You like money. Hopefully we get back to today's high, or am I Scrooged? I don't know. I mean, obviously, the momentum says that we are gonna, you'll be on the right side of the tape here. But obviously, there's gonna have to be some selling, as there is a little bit today, to kind of regather. We don't know how low it's gonna go or anything. I'm just looking for a possible little move down, maybe 800 here, low of the day, and then we'll go from there. Just went to grab some stuff and start my car and just got smoked. Why would you do? Oh, you long the high? What'd you do? Right now they have bought about $1 billion and 1.1 billion in puts, and they've sold off about 800 million worth of calls. So that was a decent negative flow change on the options. Not to mention the 3C topic on Nasdaq. Did the 3C short not already form? It did. Yeah, 100%. We talked about that. So not at 10 o'clock we had the high volume. 10:05 we had the top wick, and then the 10:10 we had the close below the prior low of 862, and then now they fill lower. So you can see the whole process form. 1, 2, not 2 there. If I could even draw with the stupid thing. I don't like how it won't only let you draw in time frames. 2, and then 3's right there. Now they're coming down, and we're looking for the possibility of 800 dropping lower. Right here. Large reds, large reds. They got to resolve all the single prints from the gap up. Well, we've got some liquidity down. I'm seeing a whole bunch of negative call flow and input flow. We have liquidity down to 800. Not to mention 800 is the opening low. Roughly, what is it? What's the actual low? It's 796. I need to turn my thing back on. So 796. So that would put us right at a beautiful range low test. And then, of course, we'll go from there. But it's very slow, very wicky. We've had one good extension candle, which would get us going here. ES is bottom wicking. NASDAQ is dojied out. Right here. You long the high with 33 contracts, like 33 minis or micro, hopefully micros. Otherwise, you're a big boy. You're a big player. Was a big player. Yeah, touche. 838 here, NASDAQ. Dojied out on the 5-minute. Yeah, gold had a little bit of volume, but you need the third C, the higher high. NASDAQ with some of the highest 1-minute volume candle of the day are right here at 1020 on the 1-minute. On the 5-minute, still not very high, but collectively there's a decent amount of support here. You could scalp all these gold volume spikes long and you get 5 to 8 points every time. That's spicy. Spicy. Oh, that's a tremendous amount of volume. So 4009 will get you right side of the V. We'll see here. So far, AI images have not saved GameStop, so that's sweet. What's my expectations for this week? I have no idea. Volatility is the only thing I know for sure. I have no idea where this market's going, up or down. No idea. Zero. Nobody else does either. It's easy to say that we could sit here and blast another 10% higher, but we could wake up tomorrow and Trump flaps his lips about, I don't know, some nonsense over in some other country and we're down 10%. So who knows? So just buy calls at close, ain't you? Yeah, that's the truth. This candle's going to do it? Possibly. NASDAQ is smack dab in the middle of the range here. Smack dab in the middle of the range. What are we going to do? One tactical nuke would ruin this party for sure. By the way, there's a new movie on Netflix we watched this weekend that was interesting called House of Dynamite, which is interesting. It was actually well done with a couple of off points, but it was well done. Terrible ending as usual with anything on Netflix. Woke flicks, yeah, tell me about it. We're in the start of distribution, but we need 400 points higher. Well, if it was 400 points higher, it wouldn't be distribution. NASDAQ is blasting, about to retake high of the day. Gold is finally starting to bounce a little bit. We'll see if we get a third C. There we go. One of the strongest green candles of the day so far on NASDAQ. So far, a 30, 40 point bounce. They're starting to buy back some calls. There's a new Matt Damon, Ben Affleck movie. What's it called? Good Will Hunting returns. It's a crime thriller. Interesting. Massive green candle, biggest volume candle of the day, or biggest price action candle of the day. 3C on the 1 minute. Did not show up on the 5, but the 1 minute here back up. There you go. There you go. All the way back up, baby. Do I do options tradings? I do. I use IBKR, Interactive Brokers. It's the best one out there. Need to lure in the bulls fair. Yeah, but if you blast 400 points, you're not luring the bulls. You're rewarding the bulls. So, if you went short on NASDAQ there, this must sting. Well, if you went short on NASDAQ at the lows, this would sting, but you don't get in the habit of shorting the bottoms. If you think we're going to dump, go out to year end and buy a 200 width spread. 6,600, 6,400 for $20. I'm just gonna sit. Yeah, I'm just sitting tight. That's my thing. You know, I played bullish for many months, and then obviously I switched into a bearish thesis last week, which is obviously, at least so far, if not incorrect, it's early at best, and incorrect if worst case. And right now, I'm not going to sit here and flip back and forth. And, oh, okay, we're just going to go higher. I'm just going to chill for a little bit. I'm just going to chill. I'm going to sit back and watch the charts and see what's really going on here. Because when you start flip flopping back and forth, things don't really work out too well. And the best thing for me is to just watch and see what happens, especially after this week. Because heck, Friday we could be right back to here we are, end of the world. You know, we could put on a 5% sell up at the end of the week. We don't know. Although obviously it's most likely won't happen, but we don't know after this week. So I'm just going to sit tight for about a week or so and just kind of see what goes on. Another bottom wick that should get us higher. I found some crypto I've been holding on to apparently for years. Nice. One time about a year ago, I was laying in bed one night and I had a thought that I was still holding my Bitcoin in my Coinbase that I did years ago. And I logged in and yeah, I sold it just like I thought I did. I've been rolling spreads for protection. I'm losing money on them, but it's plan insurance. Well, that's okay. That's good. 500 with spreads 3 months out. Cost me $5 per contract. Heck yeah. How do you just find crypto? My dad wanted to full port into Tesla at $120 pre-split with like $10,000 years ago. I thought it was overvalued. Yep. I remember 2012, my buddy telling me to buy as much Tesla as I possibly could, and I laughed at him. Guess he's laughing now. Although I've made some pretty good returns. I've made some good purchases, but the one thing I've missed out on in my career are the generational purchases like Amazon in 1998. Obviously, I was only 12, but still. Tesla in 2012, Bitcoin in 2008, like that stuff. I just saw a video, in fact, this weekend of a guy who his mom was recording himself buying $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. So it's like $1 million or $1 million Bitcoins is what he had for $1,000. I was like back in like 2009 or something like that. My friends were econ majors in 13 and they were liquidated everything they had and bought Bitcoin. Did they still hold it though? Poor excuses, yeah. In 2015, my buddy told me to buy Bitcoin at 300. I scoffed. I sold $20,000 of Bitcoin when it hit $17 a piece. Yeah, it's easy to go back and think of buying that stuff, but it would have been easy to have bought it. If you were in the right place at the right time, it would have been very easy to have bought it. But would you have been able to hold it for all these years? I doubt it. The only people that hold this stuff are the people that forgot about it and they opened up their freaking wallet after 20 years. Can you imagine white knuckling? I'm sure some people out there did. Could you have figured out how to bought it? I couldn't have, no. We're dealing with a morning high right here, 25,880. Remember one of my employees wanted to buy Bitcoin at 3K. I thought it was the stupidest idea ever. Our friends use it for Silk Road. I have no idea what that is. Never heard of Silk Road, so I never thought it was a true investment. We about to break out? Yep, appears so. There's no volume into the resistance, so there you go. Motec exhaust system. I love it, Twizzy. Hilarious. Hilarious. I have a coworker who put $200,000 in inheritance at all Bitcoin in 2014. Still works because he refused to sell it even until it hits $1 million. Here we go, 25,885 still going. Blastaroni. Blastaroni. Asked you a question in the comment section many times, but you didn't reply. What's your question, CJ? You know this dude has got his Bitcoin stashed away. Yeah. $25,890 coming up here. So if you look at this move back up, so we had the high volume spike here with nice little bottom wicks. We climb the prior high, and obviously the second we breach the prior high, we engulf. And as you come into this resistance right here, we get no volume spikes. So that is all absorption to break out, 25,870 into 890. We have liquidity at 900. They're back to buying calls, selling some puts. So there you go. The dude that took 30 minutes should be pretty good right now. Perfectly fine. All right, Agnostic, have a good day, buddy. Good morning, Cameron. How you doing? The confiscated Silk Road wallet has a few billion in it. Yeah, I still don't know what y'all are talking about. If I had calls in this move up, when would you start closing? Assume you'd open them right from the bounce. If I had calls on the way out, obviously you have to treat stops on calls a little bit differently than futures because there's time value associated with it and other variables. But I would close those babies. If we were to close back under the morning high, I would close them. This is right now your determination for trend or whether or not this is going to be just a range day. So if we recapture this morning high, then most likely we'll just kind of piddle in this area for the session. But if they hold this level, then you're going to get the opportunity for another breakout high. So in my opinion, if you're long, this level right here needs to be where you're focused at. If we close back under it on a longer time frame like the 5, then you would consider taking some profit. The morning high is your determination for a trend right now. I use VIX to trade ES and NASDAQ, but VIX from TradingView would lag, so my question is there a way to get it faster? Yes, so if you look on my TradingView right here, I use the TVC VIX. Hold on, let me, so 1 second here. All right, I need to show you this. So there's two things. One, you need to make sure you're using TVC VIX. Right here. See where it says TVC? If there's a yellow D beside that, like the letter D, then you've got a delayed VIX, and you're going to have delayed data. It's going to be like 15-second delay or something, which is terrible. 15-minute delay. So you need to go to the VIX. So go to your indicators, or not indicators, go into the names, and type in VIX. And you've got CBOE VIX, and you've got the TVC, Tango Victor Charlie. Select that one, and that'll be good to go. And VIX now becomes very useful. In my opinion, one of the most important follows you need to have. Make sense? All right, here comes NASDAQ breaking higher here. So now that we're still over the morning high, and up we go. Silk Road was a dark web website that people used to buy drugs and other illicit things. It's no longer around, but there have been others to replace it. Interesting. The craziest thing I did with the internet when I was young is go to rotten.com. I never did any Silk Road or dark web stuff. Crazy story. Interesting. What app am I used to look at the charts? TradingView. I'm using TVC VIX right now and it lags. That I don't know. I don't believe you need data to get the VIX live, but I'm not entirely positive. If that's the case, I mean, I do subscribe to both the CBOE and the NASDAQ data to get live data feeds. I think it's like $6 a month. I forget. I bought it last November, so I don't remember. So that may be a thing there too. But yeah. Does that website still exist? I honestly haven't tried to look at it since like 1999, so I don't know. Never mind. He already looked it up. E-Bombs is my childhood sketchy website. There you go. I remember using the AOL dial-up. And then, you've got mail. Going to rotten.com. It's good stuff. I eat my cookies and drink my milk. Watch some suicide. It's great stuff. All right, we have 660 million sold puts, 400 million purchase calls. Still going. As long as you maintain the morning high, we are in a defined uptrend. Up we go. VIX is the best tool to trade ES and NASDAQ. There you go. I agree. It's one of the best. Riot.com in college is like our daily gathering. Yeah, buddy. Why TradingView instead of IBK or desktop? I don't trade off of TradingView. I just do my analytics on TradingView. I think it's very clean. I've always used TradingView. I love it. I think it's a great product. Now I execute and maintain my personal funds in IBKR, but I don't do any analytics in IBKR other than options chain analytics. I don't do any trading at all through TradingView. End of the world. That was a great one too. Yeah. Gold is putting in a base, but no higher high yet. I actually started my son Teenage Ninja Turtles from 1998. I don't know what that is. I'm afraid to click on it, especially with skiing videos. I'm about to go skiing. But the VIX lags make it hard to enter. Yeah, if you're having a 15-minute VIX lag, it's not going to be that useful for this style of trading. On the daily chart, it should be just fine if you're doing for longer term stuff, but it's going to be nearly impossible if you're doing any kind of scalping on any big moves. It's funny, but it's brutal. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's terrible. Terrible. That's why I don't do backflips when I go skiing. I keep my skis on the ground when I go skiing. 25,890 here. We're just kind of trudging higher. There's no high volume top wick. It's all long side bias, especially over the morning high. Be careful shorting breakouts over the morning high because we're just breakout mode here. So on Polymarket for the presidential winner of 2028, Dwayne The Rock Johnson is sitting at 3% chance of winning. Love it. It's hilarious. I feel like a violent upside move is loading. Maybe. Maybe. For what party? Doesn't say. When you have a set, could you give your opinion on cough? Cough means something very different in the pilot word. In the pilot world, it means concepts of fire. So we're going to a cough. That's before we have some sort of executable event where we need to put together a package for ordnance, if we're going to use GBUs or Hellfires, what type of Hellfire, what strike package we're going to use for different aircraft. Brings back a lot of memories. I miss it. That's good times. Anyway, COF here, we're sitting at 226.02. We're coming into triple top at 228. Let's see. Capital One. Where's the volume at? That's a weird volume. That's the earnings. Well, we've got this bit of a top here at 230.3 with some volume. And we keep getting these weird volume spurts here. But, I mean, this all looks supportive. And as long as the debt bubble continues, so does the interest bubble. And so does the financial stocks like COF. So I could see an imminent pop here above 3229 after we have a bit of a absorption to blast a little bit higher. I don't know. I don't like playing breakouts like that, but on triple tops with absorption, it could happen. It could happen. Probably Armageddon. My tapes are laggy. Yeah. I was on the build side of one of those packages in the bomb dump. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I always had a lot of fun, man. It was a great career. Can you talk about the 3C breakdown on gold at 10:30? Yeah, let's take a look. So I assume you mean like right here? Okay, so let's take a look. We'll start on the 1 minute and we'll build out to the 15. So the 1 minute, we saw this move lower into 4,000 or so, call it 39.96. That is below, obviously, last week's highs, or lows, I'm sorry. We had significant volume come in on this low. The 5 minute presented a very quick 3C long from 4,008 to 4,018 if you were not already in. Then they breached it back lower and then bounced, gave you a little double bounce with more volume support. So that is a typical double bounce, which on momentum bounces, which these right here are momentum bounces. This looks like a momentum bounce, which gets you back up. The double bounce is pretty common. So if you're going to take a long position for a V recovery, not just a scalp long, you've got to be able to survive the double bounce because that is a pretty frequent activity. If it's supported by volume, then you're okay. And of course, as long as they maintain prior highs, you're also okay. But obviously, if you're looking at all this stuff, if you're looking at all this, this level is pretty obvious right here that it needs to hold. We have bounces, highs, highs, and then now, of course, here. So in my opinion, if you're looking for that V recovery, we've got to be able to take this zone right here. 4,010, 4,009. That is the obvious resistance right here. If they take that out, you'll get your recovery. But until then, all they're doing is using these prices to sell off into lower, which is no bueno. And you need to ask yourself the question, is it worth trying to catch a falling knife with such a strong momentum stock? NASDAQ is falling back below the morning high. Arnold's weird, man. Arnold's gone back and forth. You know, obviously coronavirus, he came out super, like, his face became super punchable during coronavirus, and then now he's coming out, you know, more right wing type stuff. So it's weird. Like Arnold's he's been back and forth. Stick to lifting, yeah. That's true. That's true, Damien. Yeah. Mike Metzer all day. Heck yeah, baby. Could you interpret this no-name stock's price action? This is a daily chart. Volume is building. That looks like seller's exhaustion price action. So which results in a bit of a descending wedge, which obviously everyone knows is bullish. But if you look, you have volume and flow, and the collective volume is starting to increase, and that's the difference. So yes, throughout that price action you see from June, July, August, yes, we have individual volume spikes, but what's different in October until now on whatever name that is? You have a collective increase in volume. Every single individual candle has been going up since October, the beginning of October. And that's the difference, which means something's happening. Something's changed. There's a change of character on the name. You need to pay attention to it. Could make for an outlier move. I'm pretty firmly planted in the cowardly middle. Y'all are crazy. I don't know. I don't want to get into a political conversation again because I'll get called a fascist again. Good morning, Akchung. You journeys. When did this happen? On Friday. Was it Friday? I don't know. Thursday? Sometime last week, some dude, not just me, but he called the entire right fascists. I was like, all right, go turn on your CNN, Grandpa. Was it Friday? There you go. All right, so we have retaken the morning high, which there you go. That was your risk. People who call you that don't even know what it means. Yeah. Didn't you mean to say fashionist? I am pretty trendy. I wear some pretty nice threads. It's the first time I've seen you get the ban hammer out. I don't ban people very often, but if you make stupid comments like that, then I'm gonna ban you. I have zero tolerance for that kind of nonsense. Just get out of here. I think there's a lot of left-leaning and right-leaning people in the server, and we all seem to get along pretty well, which is the way it should be. You start throwing that crap around, you can go hang out with Wall Street Bets. I don't want you here. Get out. I don't want your money. I'm about to declare some jihad on some peacocks, so I'll tell you that. Coming up, 25,872, just chilling. Well, I broadcasted a bunch of rye seed on the dirt, and it's starting to pop up, and they think it, I'm putting out breakfast for them. It's amazing that just being civil with each other is so difficult. Well. I agree. Do I ever play break and retest on the opening range? I do. So the retest of the opening range is fantastic. However, I will say that trade for me is most likely going to be situated into the afternoon. So what do I mean by that? Which is a fantastic question. Let's say we break out higher. Into the afternoon, when they dump it back over, I love to long the retest into the afternoon. I mean like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's a fantastic support on a trend up day. It doesn't happen all that often, so it only allows me opportunity a couple of times a month to do that, but it's fantastic. That morning high is a tremendous opportunity because people aren't really paying attention to it. The first hour high low, it's a fantastic place to take a long. Obviously right now we can't get above it. You're welcome, King. I struggle sometimes because I study a lot of history, and let me say, ain't nothing new. And the folks in power have been playing the same. Oh, yeah. Bread and circus, baby. Football. The reason I did not take the 3C bounce on gold is because we have been falling along this trend line all morning, means Algo has found a sweet spot. I like it. Secondly, location below the bottom, look at the highest volume candle in years. Makes me difficult. I love it. There you go. Coming up on the top of the hour, and then we got 30 minutes until London close, baby. Locking it up, going to be a listener from the end of the session. There you go. I would love to see a London close followed by an overnight gap fill. Yeah, that'd be great. Do I expect to see a sell the news Fed decision? It depends. I don't know. It depends on the price action between now and then. If they pin this thing flat, then I could see a bit of a pop into the event and then post-event a sell. I could see that. But if they just continue to blast this thing all the way into the event, I could still see a pop into the event and then blast after. So I don't know. This isn't a very aggressive gap open to start the week. What would you say the successful traders lean politically? Why do you think that is? I have no idea. I will tell you. I know I've had the fortune and misfortune of being involved with a lot of different people over the past 4 years. People I would otherwise never associate with or come in contact with for geopolitical purposes or personality purposes. And I will tell you, the craziest people I've ever come across, unfortunately, are left-leaning. And that's just facts. I'm not calling names, but and really it's because they're speaking out against my beliefs. Because y'all could probably guess I'm right-leaning, although I hate the government in general. I hate right government as much as left government. But I have no idea about political affiliation leading to profits. If I had to guess, though, kind of put everyone in one basket, the more emotional you are about politics, most likely the less profitable you are about trading, because emotional people usually aren't that great at traders. And if you're emotionally tired to politics, then most likely you're probably not going to be that profitable of a trader. whether it be right or left leaning. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't know. I have no idea. America first, baby. The people first, man. I'm anti-government, pro-American people. I've tried throwing rocks. I've tried throwing sticks. They're just not learning. They're just not learning. This is why I bought my Henry Lever Action 410 shotgun. It's my favorite weapon. A 7.62 for a peacock that's 5 meters away. Jeez Louise. People first sounds mighty liberal. It might. It might. But unfortunately, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it. Let's just leave it there. I'm people first. Truly people first. Not the whatever crap is we hear on TV. Meat is terrible anyway. What do we have here? Still chilling just under the morning low. So that if you're looking for breakout, you've got to hold the morning high. Otherwise, you're gonna risk reattacking the day's low, the morning low, into the afternoon. I only have an extra $500 a month to use on trading. What kind of approach do you use to grow that money? How long have you been trading? That's a loaded question, Edward. How long have you been trading? And how long have you been trading? And what's your track record like? Are you net positive? Or not even positive or negative? Do you have consistency or trending towards consistency? Here's my advice to people who are trading or people in your situation. It all depends on a multitude of factors. What's your consumer credit like? Do you have a ton of credit card debt or student loan debt? Are you burdened with debt where you're strapped? At that point, what I would recommend is first fund your long-term retirement accounts and or a stock account. So that's what I would do first. Get your finances in order because you don't have the freedom to go out and speculate on short-dated trading with money that you don't have. So you need to start preparing for your future. I don't know how old you are, what your lifestyle is, all that kind of stuff. So first of all is 15% match or higher in your retirement accounts. After that, start building a stock portfolio. I think the number one way to get rich in America, if you're young, is that in addition to your retirement account, build a personal self-managed stock portfolio. Start buying the S&P and all the stuff that's in the S&P. Become very familiar with the website ssga.com, samgammaalpha.com. I just said gamma when it's golf. And then start buying a portfolio. Then use those shares to, if you want to start short-term trading, to only trade shares, commons. No options, no futures, none of that. And start trading commons. And just say, all right, well, your goal is not to get profitable per se, it's to get repetitions, and that will lead to profitability. And the only way to do that is through scalping commons or trading commons, not anything else, because you're going to get destroyed. You don't have the luxury of leverage or margin. And then as you learn those processes and you start to become consistently profitable, or at least consistently consistent, trending towards consistency. If y'all could see me, you'll probably realize that I do a lot of Trump hand mannerisms, like I'm doing like the Trump pinch, the finger pinch on camera. Anyway, and then once you start to build consistency, you can start to trickle into maybe a leverage product like futures, or some time value products like options, but only until then. But if you want to become rich, I don't know, again, I don't know how old you are. If you want to become rich by the time you're 50, 60, start buying individual stocks now and never stop. And then if you have consumer debt, get rid of your consumer debt. If you've got a $60,000 truck sitting in the driveway, guess what? Go sell it. Go buy yourself a crappy car and pay off that debt. Consumer debt is stupid. Cars are stupid unless you can afford to pay cash, and when cars are stupid. You take that back. Yeah. If you can't afford them, cars are stupid. That's the key there. No, I don't even mean loans on cars. Let's say you've only got 50 grand in cash and that's it. Are you going to go buy a $50,000 car? No, even if it is paid off, it's stupid to go buy a $50,000 car if all you have is $50,000. I mean that cars are an incredibly bad depreciating asset. Not assuming specialty cars, of course. Like Lamborghinis will go up in value. I could get it. But if your net worth is low and you've got debt, cars are stupid. Strictly in financial terms. However, in addition to what's his name, Edward, another thing I didn't talk about is prop firms, which is a very fine line. I'm very delicate recommending prop firms to anybody because it all depends on your personality, because that could destroy your life too. But if you want to take $50 and throw it at a prop firm and see if you can get a payout, I mean, what? Only 18% of people who ever sign up for a prop firm actually take a payout. 18%. So you have to treat that delicately. But that is an option to you, is that you could spend a little bit of money, $50, get yourself a prop firm, pass it, and then take a payout. And that'll help you build too, which in this day and age is certainly a possibility. When will commodity prices start to inflate? They are already inflating. I'm late on this comment because I was managing a trade. I read a good study a while back, and we'll try to find some point where they pulled different groups where they thought the most dangerous came out of. I'm paraphrasing, but the results are each group found that personally, the opposing group will believe to have produced the most dangerous. Yep. When polled to those who don't affiliate, they found that there is no generalization. The crazies came from everyone. I agree with that. I've got a buddy that I've been friends with for many years. He is so pro-Trump that Trump could shoot a baby in the face tomorrow and he would still get on his knees for Trump. So there's crazies everywhere, man. And I'm like, why? Like, well, I don't understand. You know, the thing, if you're not American, let's say you're foreign, the thing about Americans that the globe doesn't understand is that we have revolution built into our blood. Americans are inherently revolutionists. We created this country by revolting. So it's in our blood. That's why we like guns. That's why, 4th of July, we all blow stuff up all day and cook meat. So I don't understand how people affiliate with a single political figure so drastically in the face of all adversity and all rationality, whether it be right or left. It doesn't make sense to me. Anyway. The VIX has been steadily climbing all morning. Have y'all caught that? 1560 up to 1610. Media propaganda is a reason TD their whole thing. Oh, yeah, that too. Gold must be looking for oil because it's drilling. It's still going, man. Yeah, that's why you higher highs, dude. Right now the momentum is down on oil, on gold. If you're looking for a longer time frame, I mean, you need a higher high. Otherwise, this is going to start freaking Harry Stamper. I do it with billionaires, yeah. Any French person would laugh at the claim Americans being revolutionary these days. Well, nowadays, obviously, no. I mean, you know. But yeah, back in the day, that's what we were built on. That's my thing. It's like, where did that go? Where did that spirit go? I don't understand pro-government people. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm anti-authority, which is weird considering I spent my entire career in the military. $25,890. I want to make sure I've got this on right. I have been known to mess that up. 10:30. Okay, that's right. Core of libertarianism. Individual liberty above all. Personal freedom. Minimal government. I agree. Voluntary cooperation. I agree. I joined late because of work. Have I taken any trades today? The only setup I see on NASDAQ is a 10.920. I took a 3C short on NASDAQ in the morning, right after 10 o'clock, and that's it. And I closed out when it bounced over there at 10:30. But that's one single trade. I haven't touched nothing. I've had the gold chart up all day. I haven't touched it, although I wish I would have shorted. But yeah. Me, a former Marine that hates authority. Oh man. I'm a data point of exactly one person, so feel free to disregard, but I'm fairly left-leaning. I'm a libertarian kind of way. I have long hair, drinking iced coffee at the moment. I'm also a successful trader. There you go. Yeah, but I don't know how emotional you are, though. Like, and it's not necessarily left or right. It's how emotional are you about politics? Are you someone who's going to punch your uncle in the face because he says something that's right? You know, I mean, the right wing, I should say. You know, it all depends. I don't get wrapped around in politics. I get careless. Just, I teach my kids a few things. One, treat people with respect. Two, there's only one Lord and Savior, and that's Jesus Christ. And three, family is everything. And as long as you live by that, you should have a pretty good life. I could care less about anybody on the TV. Speaking of shorting, where do you find a 3C short on gold today? Well, if you're looking at gold, it's been down all day. So in the absence of a 3C long, you inherently have a 3C short on gold. And that's exactly what we've been experiencing. We haven't been able to put in a higher high all day on gold. So therein, ergo, you have a downward trend. Do I have a group subscription for future trading? I do. I have a Discord, $25 a month. $25 a month gets you access. We have daily streams Monday through Friday, even when I'm not on YouTube. I give away prop firm accounts because I am a TPT affiliate, so I'll give away accounts to the members for free. We have discussions, all that kind of fun stuff. Am I no longer buy the dip? Right now, I am neutral. So as I said earlier this morning, obviously I was incredibly bullish up until October 10th, and then I went into distribution mode, which obviously so far I'm either early or wrong, or the same thing, depending on how you look. So right now I'm doing nothing. I'm neutral. I'm just chilling, and I'm looking for the next step of the market. Because if I go back and forth and flip from distribution right back to bullish, and then it tanks back over tomorrow, then I'm going to start to get emotional, which is no bueno. Then I'll have to shut it down for a week or two. So right now I'm just taking it easy. I'm taking whatever the market gives us until this week is over, because this week is not the week to set your hat on anything, because we have all the big dogs reporting and we have FOMC, not to mention all the other data, not to mention, as we saw earlier, this deal with China and Trump is not actually hashed out yet. It's only a illusion of a deal, and we know Trump, he can come out tomorrow and says Trump is the worst country ever. We're going to put 2,000% tariff on China, and then we're back down. So who knows? So this week, I'm just chilling. We'll go back to a bias next week. I got you, Swatchy. I've been a long time learner with for streaming service, but I'm back at work and I'm thinking the future might work for me because it would be before my work hours. Nice, Julie. Yeah, I'd love it. I love it. Head to the website if you'd like, theoptionsmillionaire.com, and yeah, I'd love for you to join. I drive a 2014 Honda Pilot and I cleared over 200K last year, 200,000 miles. No, wait, $200,000 or miles? 200,000 miles? Dollars? I see what you're saying. Context, I'd say money. Good deal. Yeah, I drive a 2018 Toyota Tundra. I just hit 100,000 miles on it. And I will drive that baby until the wheels fall off, literally. And then guess what? I'll replace the wheels and keep on driving it. At the next OM conference, I want a competition to see who has the best Trump impression. Yeah, it's not going to be me. My Trump impression is terrible. My 2008 Tundra has 330,000 miles on it. Nice. The spot gamut calls are this week? They are, yes. That'll be on their website. Yeah. I made good money when I could participate in your Discord server before, but there's been a number of years now I'm interested in futures. Just be careful, dude's almost 60. I'm almost 60? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I'm not 60. I am getting pretty old, though, I will tell you that. The next OM conference should include a shooting range. I'd love to. 56 is almost 60, yeah. Don't say that, you're younger than me. Yeah, really. I've got a 2016 Honda SRV and I have 470,000 miles. That's insane. For real though, when are we having an OM get together? We need to get it done. I need to get it done. I know I've been saying that for a while, but I've had a very busy year. And my goal post moving into the new build was to just do nothing except the community stuff here for a while, and I've pretty much accomplished that. So we need to get back to it. I'd like to do it in spring. Next conference is in Vegas. I will never return to Vegas as long as I live. I won't even go within 100 miles of Vegas as long as I live. An absolute terrible disaster of a city. No offense if you live in Vegas. Wasn't the last OM conference in Vegas? Yep. And it was the first time I've ever been there. And you can't go anywhere in Vegas without smelling urine. And not to mention that there wasn't there much for me to do. I'm not a gambler. I don't drink. I don't partake in women because I've got my own. So it's like, what is there to do? I still think Montana is the way to do it. Go to Bozeman sometime late spring, early summer when it's starting to be nice. I think that's the way to go. Plus, Southwest flies into Bozeman, so with my Southwest points, I could scoot on in for nothing. It'd be good stuff. Bozeman was the site of our failed FedEx contract. I still have PTSD. Nice. You have family in Billings? Nice. Yeah. If you have livestock, ammonia gets filtered out by your nose automatically after a while. Oh, in Bozeman? All right. Coming up on the London close here, at which point we'll call it a day. I've taken one single trade a day. Gold, can they finally take out a higher high? So far, it's still downtrending. You can kind of see just this little trend forming. Can it break the downtrend and put in a higher high and go? Jackson Hole, yeah. And then, of course, like I said, if you all want to come skiing, I'll go to Colorado third week in December. Come do some skiing. I'm a black diamond skier, breaking into the double black diamonds. $1.2 billion in puts sold, 114 million calls purchased. So it's more of a put selling day than it is call buying. Back and forth. We could go skiing with you? Yeah, come on. If you want to come out there, I'll go skiing with you. It's our annual ski trip, man. It's good stuff. U.S. Department of Energy, building supercomputer with AMD $1 billion partnership. Interesting. Experts only. Where's that at, OF? My dad was nationally ranked like third in Germany until he nailed a boulder hidden in the snow. Oh, man. That's insane. Close to Tahoe. I could pass a background check. Vegas has good museums, world-class restaurants, Grand Canyon, Hoover Dam, all in a couple hours drive. We're in a convertible. Nice. Yeah, I was mainly talking about the Vegas city itself. Yeah, all that stuff would be amazing. ES is smack dab in the middle. NASDAQ is chilling. I'm telling you, man, I'm in no hurry to start slinging trades because I know what's coming. We have a whole plethora. Wednesday, Thursday is going to be nuts. We have 5 different earnings on Wednesday, Thursday, and we have FOMC. There's going to be nuts. So why force trades today? I've taken one decent trade, not great, decent. So we're just going to chill. That'd be amazing, Quackazoid. Is there any more than one level? The second tier is $100, but that's deep education. So I host a bi-weekly, which by the way it's this week. I host a bi-weekly Zoom call for the tier 2 members. That's a little bit more intimate. One-on-one questions, content that's centered around the current environment, and I post that on the website. And you get access to 3-4 years worth of those videos, in addition to the new ones that come out every week. So you get that. You get weekly brief on Sunday, a little bit more educational. So if you want to go deeper education, the tier 2 would be for you. And you could always try it for 1 month and then go back down to the tier 1, whichever. But the tier 1's $25, the tier 2 is $100. I work in Jackson Hole. The issue is lodging extremely expensive. Yeah. Ski trip sounds amazing. It's going to be wild in December. Heck yeah. I was stationed at Fort Carson. Went snowboarding as often as I could. I love it. Is gold up this high because of leverage? I think so. I think everything is this high because of leverage. I think right now the main thing is that most people are centered around AI. I think all of this is heavily due to debt, credit. There's a reason why everything is high. Because think about what's going on right here. Everything, every single asset is incredibly overvalued, from the stock market to anything in between. Precious metals, stock market, funds, real estate, land, cars, everything is incredibly elevated. And I think it has to do with debt. And I think a lot of that was initiated by the coronavirus debacle, the interest rates coming back down to 1%, and then all the liquidity and the money that J-Powell's been printing. And they're about to print another $1.5 trillion. So it's just crazy stuff, man. And I don't know where to go from here. I truly don't. I am not smart enough to comprehend what's going on and where we're going to go from here. So I'm just playing what I know to play, which is the 3 C's, volume, price, analysis, and go from there. Go from there. Now, someone who owns a bunch of assets, I'm scared. Like a lot of people are happy and euphoric. Maybe I'm just a pessimistic at heart, but I'm scared because I don't know where to go from here. When does the music stop? Does the music stop? What happens after the music stops? What do I do with my assets? Do I just sell my rental properties and not even worry about the rental income because of the prices of land of the house, of the properties? I don't know. I'm about to be billed today for tier 1. Would you be able to switch me over to tier 2? Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. So I appreciate that, Matt. Thank you, buddy. What's the black swan? I have no idea. There's two things that are likely event, in my opinion. 888 dogs. One, some sort of geopolitical catastrophic event. You could input whatever you think. Number two, banks go under. The banks, when they start to feel the pressure, that it'll trickle all the way down. Because if you start to hit the banks, you're hitting the politicians, because they're all one and the same. So once the banks start to feel pressure, liquidity issues, I think that's when things start to go bad. Calling a day with no trades. Nice, Damien. It's a great thing, man. It's a great thing. Well done. Again, though, I have no idea. So, I have an accounting degree, which does not merit, which I've never used. So, I mean, I'm not really qualified to speak on that stuff other than what I've kind of experienced in the market itself. I think most people want to see the crash, otherwise we are doomed. They may want to see the crash because they don't know what it's like to survive the crash. I was too young to trade the 2008 crash, but I remember my parents. I remember the economy. I was in college at the time. How many years did it take for the market to rebound after 1998? What, 13 years to break even? So do we want the economy to crash? Yes, they do, because they want cheaper home prices. They want cheaper assets to buy. They want to be able to live a life. They want to be able to afford to buy their own home or a car. I mean, right now, you can't even buy a beater car. You know, if you go on any website and try to buy a beater car, 10 grand for a piece of crap. Whereas I bought my first car for $3,000 cash. Way long time ago. But the problem is, with a crash comes with everything that comes along with a crash. You know, the economy tanks. There's no jobs. Nobody's hiring. There's foreclosures left and right. There's no money to be had until they start to rebound. But yes, I do agree that lifestyle is, I'm scared for the kids. Like, what do my kids do? I thought accounting for an elective was fun. Yeah, I majored in accounting, and after I graduated and got me a job, I quickly realized that was a terrible idea. Terrible idea. But, God works in mysterious ways, baby. If it wasn't for that, I would not have joined the military. I would not have been a pilot. If I would have got a career that I actually enjoyed and liked out of the college, I never would have been a pilot. And being a military pilot's the best job in the world, baby. Best job in the world. All right, here's the European close. I suspect the uber wealthy are building bunkers. Are they? I haven't heard that one. 95 Ford Ranger cost me $4,500. My first truck was a 1986 Ford Ranger. 4-speed, manual, 4-cylinder. And I bought that in 2001. Mine was red too. I loved it, man. I don't think Europe is closing. We made our clocks change. Oh, here we go. It's the time change. It's always that time of year that always messes me up. We ain't seeing riots like what's coming if this actually happens. The well has run dry. USDA says SNAP benefits will expire for 41 million people. Yeah. Interesting. Had to put bricks in the back. I had to do, yeah, we went and bought bags of sand and put in the back of my truck because it was so light. I love that truck, dude. I hated it at the time, but I love that truck now. I wish I could get it back. Was I at NYC? I was not, no. I moved out of NYC when I was 3 or 4. $85 Monte Carlo for $5,500 to 96. Nice. The YouTube channel has been talking about putting out some good content about liquidity issues. Interesting. Got on late. No volume? Nope. Slow stuff. Slow stuff. So, I'm going to call it a day. Any final questions, comments, concerns? $1,400 flights are delayed as there's a shortage of air traffic controllers. Did you see the riots in Nepal over them getting rid of social media? I did not. Appreciate y'all. Good questions, good conversation as always. You know, I always think we're the best server out there, not only because of the trading knowledge, but because we have a good tight-knit community on the internet, which is not easy. It's not easy to have a good tight-knit community on the internet because of the nonsense. It's good stuff. I always like having good conversation. Interesting. It's crazy, Damien. Look up Silk Road. I'll take a look. All right, y'all. Let me know if you have any questions. I do think this is not the day to kind of put on too much risk. There's plenty of opportunity this week. We have a whole bunch of volatility coming. Just relax and see what happens. If you have any questions, hit me up. Throw me a DM or shoot them at the channel. Otherwise, I'll see y'all bright and early tomorrow morning. I'm out. See ya.